Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2475. This week on Cars Yeah, we're celebrating the La Jolla Concours de Elegance. It takes place on April 19th, 20th, and 21st in my hometown, beautiful La Jolla, California, overlooking the Pacific Ocean. You can learn more about attending this event and get your tickets at lajollaconcours.com. I hope to see you there. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia with an old friend. But soon we're going to be somewhere a little warmer. My very special guest named Nigel Mathews. Nigel, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have any gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
I am indeed. Let's go for it.
Yeah, well, maybe we should just leave now and go down to the La Jolla Concours because it's a little cold and chilly and wet and a little snowy up here with you, but we're going to be there soon enough, and we're going to talk about that. But first, I always like to ask my guests this, Nigel. Now, you've been on 2 times before, so you're a three-peater now, but, you are always traveling the world, doing all sorts of cool things, and I typically ask people to share one little thing that people don't know about you, but I'm going to ask you more specifically. You've already or about to attend 2 Concours this year before we attend the La Jolla Concours in April. Can you tell us what those 2 Concours are?
Yes, indeed. The first one will be the Oberoi Concours. The Oberoi hotel chain are having their first Concours in Udaipur in India, and it's going to be an absolutely spectacular event. And then I will have to go directly from there, from Delhi to New York, and to attend the Amelia, which I'm the assistant chief judge at that event. So starting the year off with a bang.
Well, you are. And, the funny thing was a year ago about this time, a little bit earlier over New Year's, you and I were both in India. We just didn't quite know it until it was a little bit too late. But the funny thing for you listeners was I was there for my son's wedding, and it turns out that Nigel was in the hotel right next door. And I didn't even know it.
Yeah,
that's pretty
indeed.
cool.
And I'm going to be going back to that same hotel on February the 6th.
Very cool. Well, say hello to all the folks there. They're all very nice. They're great hotels right there on the Arabian Ocean. Beautiful place. So, yes, you started the year off right. Well, let me introduce you because for you listeners that didn't hear my previous shows, you'll find them on Cars Yeah with Nigel. But this guy gets around just a little bit. Nigel Mathews is the chief judge and on the selection committee for the annual La Jolla Concours d'Elegance. Originally from Oxfordshire, England, he's lived in Vancouver, British Columbia for, has it really been 50 years now, Nigel?
Going on, yeah, it's 48 or 49.
Wow,
yep.
Okay. He's worked as a Red Seal designated licensed automotive technician and a member of the Guild of Master Craftsmen, repairing and restoring Rolls-Royce and Ferrari automobiles, and probably a few others too. The past 29 years, Nigel has been in the classic and exotic car insurance industry, currently serves as Global Brand Ambassador for Haggerty. Since 2005, Nigel has judged most of the major Concours events around the globe and has written classic car columns in the Canadian press and numerous automotive magazines. No doubt you've read many of his words. In 2015, Nigel was one of the founding members of ICJAG, which is the International Chief Judge Advisory Group, and he took over from Ed Gilbertson, past guest here on Cars Yeah, as the chairman in 2020. I told you this guy gets around. We'll be back in just a minute to learn more about the La Jolla Concours, but first, a word from our sponsors, so give them a little love, and we'll be right back. Buckle up. Are you ready to take charge of your financial future? Then let me introduce you to Capitalize Your Finances. It's an online course designed to empower you with the knowledge and tools for mastering your money. This course will help you lay out the ins and outs of budgeting, the importance of emergency funds, investing strategies, and how to plan for a secure retirement. All this presented by financial planner Chris Paniotu. Chris has developed this course to help you effectively navigate your world of finance with confidence. Stop stressing about money and start taking control. Enroll in Capitalize Your Finance online course today and pave your way to financial success. To learn more, Go to capitalizepodcast.com/courses, or better yet, go to the Cars Yeah website, show notes page for today's show, and click on the link under Capitalize Your Finances. You'll be glad you did. Do it today. For several years now, you've heard me talk about Linkage Magazine. I've been a subscriber since the start. Their talented and creative team brings you a spectacular publication and website that shares the automotive passion from a worldwide perspective. Linkage is about driving, restoring, collecting, and first-hand experience at collector car auctions and more. They bring you real-world values plus rational, experienced opinions on the current markets. They cover the automotive world and the people who share our passions. And Linkage Magazine has grown, mailing you 6 issues annually. Join me on this journey with Linkage. They're geared for the automotive life. You can subscribe at linkagemag.com. Hey, guess what? Some of you regular listeners will remember back in 2019, I created 10, 11 shows called Cars Yeah TV, where I went to some fabulous locations of past Cars Yeah guests, and we did a TV show about it. Well, they're up on the Cars Yeah YouTube channel. So go check it out at YouTube. Just type in Cars Yeah, and the shows will be there for you to enjoy. I hope you have fun watching. So, Nigel, we've talked a little bit about the start of your year. You're off to India, then you're to Florida. You're going to be a lot of other places. But in April, you and I are going to be together in La Jolla, my old hometown, at the La Jolla Concours. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about what people can expect to see when they get to the Concours this year. I know last year you guys had the largest gathering of Duesenbergs. That's going to be a little hard to beat. But let's talk a little bit about some of the things we're going to see on the lawn there at Scripps Park.
Well, it definitely is going to be hard to beat. I love La Jolla. It's the top of my list because it's a wonderful destination venue for a concours. And yes, indeed, it's going to be very tough to beat the number of Duesenbergs we had last year. But this year, we've got some exciting classes. We're going to be, as usual, we'll feature the early 20s and 30s American open and closed cars and the European cars. We're also going to have a standalone Aston Martin class called British Royalty. That's probably named after now King Charles, who still has his Aston Martin that he was given for his 21st birthday present. We're going to have a couple of feature classes also showing the evolution of the Mustang and the Corvette. So we're hoping to have at least one, maybe two of vehicles from each era from those manufacturers.
Will that include an EV Mustang? Tell me no.
No, it won't.
I don't know who made that decision,
no, the Mustang
but
class.
Someone needs to go and slap them a little bit. It's like, what are you doing? Because the Mustang is like, well, both Mustang and Corvette, those are like American classic iconic sports cars that both of those have stayed pretty much true to their original concept, although I will say, the Mustang kind of veered off a little bit. Now the new Corvettes look like Ferraris. But still, I mean, these are things that have been around the U.S. forever. Everybody loves Mustangs and Corvettes, right?
Yes, we have been approached by a gentleman who's doing EV conversions, and he wants to bring a 65 Mustang convertible with electric power. I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Oh,
but,
well, that's a little bit like David Bernardo that's been at this event that takes old VWs, bugs, and buses and puts electric in. He's been a guest on the show. That's been happening more and more. Guests that have been on the show that are doing that. And while EVs are kind of taking it a couple lumps in the head as of late, in general, for a variety of reasons, I think it's still kind of interesting that people are doing these. Would you dare call a car like that a resto mod?
I suppose it would fall into that category. I mean, FIVA, the world's governing sort of body of antique and classic cars, there was a great debate about, converting classic cars into electric power. At the end of the day, everybody decided that as long as all of that internal combustion engine stuff is put aside and kept, so that if in a point in time with a new owner, that car wants to go back to the way it was born, they don't seem to have a problem with it.
Really? Oh, well, that's encouraging. I mean, A lot of cars are restored, some of them not restored correctly, and that's your expertise is trying to figure out if they should be or if they have been for Concours type events. But, the times they are changing, and sometimes you've got to be a little flexible and change with them. I saw in an article recently that Jason Momoa, the actor, had a 1929 Rolls-Royce converted to electric by Kidlington Company. So, everybody's getting in the game.
Yeah, you have, and we have to sort of embrace everybody. I mean, if it's got four wheels and tires and it moves, I think we're all on the same page, and we should all appreciate what turns somebody else's interest.
Crankshaft. Yeah, most definitely. Well, what are some of the other wonderful groups that we're going to have?
We're going to have an Italian class. Last couple of years, we've sort of focused mainly on having a Ferrari class. And this year we're going to call it Italian sports cars. And we originally were going to have it just Lamborghinis, but we thought, why not open it up to Italian sports cars or high-performance sports cars, the likes of, Lamborghini, Maserati, and some of those interesting Italian hybrids, Iso Grifo, Iso Rivolta, Pizzarini, all of those types of vehicles. And what else have we got?
Well, I know we've got something going on with Porsches for me. You know that, right?
Yeah. We're going to have a Porsche 911 first generation class, which will be interesting.
There's also a car that you mentioned to me, a Rolls-Royce disappearing top coupe, Maharaja.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Car. Did you bring something over from India on your last trip?
Yeah, that's quite, I don't know how, well, that is obviously a car that got out of India before they changed all the rules and regulations, because they were losing their heritage, automotive heritage. Those cars were flying out. But we do have a beautiful 1937 Rolls-Royce Phantom 3, so it's the last of the V12 powered Rolls-Royces up until they reintroduced them in 1997-ish, I think. It's a beautiful one-off Thrupp and Maberly convertible. They call it a disappearing top because when the top goes down, it's fully enclosed and you don't see the convertible top at all. And it's just a stunning shade of blue.
I can't wait to see that car. That'll be nice. Now that I've got some family in India, it means a little bit more to me. And when we saw all those cars on the lawn at Pebble, Maharaja cars that they were able to get over here, it's just incredible. They were allowed to be brought over here and shown together. And of course, they're back where they belong now in India. But those cars were absolutely stunning. And the history of those cars, I've learned a little bit more about the history of the Maharajas and those vehicles and why and all of that. But they're quite fascinating. So that particular 37 Rolls-Royce is going to be quite spectacular. I know, with you being so closely involved with so many events, the La Jolla judges this year, I understand, are going to include some Pebble Beach judges. I think 4 of them.
Yes, yeah. We've always had a good turnout of Pebble Beach judges at La Jolla. So we'll have 5, including myself. We'll have 5 regular Pebble Beach judges, and the interest is out there internationally too. I have judges asking if they can come and judge at La Jolla all the time. So this year we have one gentleman coming from Belgium, one judge coming from Spain, and another coming from India.
Wow. Oh, that'll be tremendous. What I've always said about the La Jolla Concours, and I'm biased because I grew up there, so we used to have picnics after church on that lawn. I used to body surf off boomers there, which, boy, last month they got some killer waves. I don't think I've seen pictures of waves that big in a long time, some of the surf that was hitting the West Coast. But what is it about the La Jolla Concours that you mentioned is one of your favorites? To me, it's like a mini Pebble Beach. And I know Michael Dervier probably is going to go, Mark, don't call us that. We are our own thing. and I get that. But it's the setting for me. It's so beautiful.
Oh, without question. Yeah, Scripps Park right on the edge of the ocean there. It doesn't get much better than that. Looking up at La Valencia Hotel, you can almost put yourself into the era and be of the 30s and being there.
Just the environment to me, and all the events that they put together for this and what Michael and his team and you guys do, they make it a really, really fascinating 3 days from the parties. And this year, I'm crossing my fingers somebody invites me to ride with them on the tour. We'll see. Hint, 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 any of you folks out there. And then last year, I was in Rancho Santa Fe when all of you guys drove through on the tour, and I got to actually have lunch with Diane Brandon, who's a judge at Pebble. Rolls-Royce judge, so she and her beau and some friends. And then also the day of the event, they have a flyby. This whole thing to me is just such I think for you judges it might be, but tell me if not. It's not quite as tense as Pebble, and I don't mean to disrespect Pebble because I love that place. I've gone 31 times, but it's a little bit more laid back. Maybe it's because it's SoCal. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And one thing that, I think I should have mentioned the flyby too. Those local pilots flying those old aircraft, they put on an incredible display and just make the event that much, extra special.
Oh, it really is. And they've got a great event up on Prospect Street this year. I think it's going to be the Porsches again. So I'll make sure that I call all my old high school buddies and friends to come down and we can walk along the streets and reminisce about old times and so forth. It's just a wonderful, wonderful event. I encourage you listeners, make your way there. I mean, April is still kind of cold in parts of the country, but it won't be cold in Southern California. It's always spectacular, sunny, warm, and there's so many great things to do in San Diego and La Jolla. So come and stay for a week. There's just a lot to do. I think it's really fun. Like
I said, it's a destination Concours. Go there and
it really is.
Take it all in.
Definitely. I want to dive into a little bit of the personal side with you here, Nigel, as it relates to this event. Since you're the head judge and you know what's coming, I always ask about a special vehicle. Is there one? Now, we've mentioned a few, but is there one special vehicle that you know that's coming that, and we'll just let you pick one today because you can't, it's like picking a favorite kid, right? Is there one that stands out for you that you want to talk a little bit about?
Oh, there is, actually this one came across my desk this morning. It's a Aston Martin DB2 drop head coupe, meaning a convertible, and a survivor car. It hasn't been touched, and it was discovered in Hawaii.
What?
Yeah, and I'm an Aston Martin guy, but I haven't heard about this one, so this has been a well-kept secret. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And, when you think about Concours judging, you think that everybody expects everything to be shiny and gleaming and looking new and everything. Not in the world of ICJAG, which we judge in. We don't penalize vehicles for signs of usage and patina. Our cars are meant to be driven and bikes are meant to be ridden. So this is the one that I'm going to be keeping my eye open for.
That car is not that particular car because I didn't know about it as either, but it's interesting. Hawaii. Do you know much about how it ended up in Hawaii?
I don't, to be honest. Like I said, it just came across my desk this morning. But if any of the listeners are trying to picture what that car looks like, if they saw the Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Bird.
Yes.
There was one driven quite a lot in that film.
That's what I was just going to say is it's a very unique, when you think of Aston Martin, I mean, the first thing a lot of people think of is the DB4, DB5, James Bond car, something like that, or the wonderful race cars that Sterling Moss drove and so forth. But this car is kind of like something you'd see driving, I don't know, along the coast in Italy or something, a gentleman's touring car. Is that how you would describe this thing?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, indeed. I mean, when you think about Aston Martin, of course, people of our age group and slightly younger, they automatically think about the DB5 that was used in Goldfinger and Thunderball. And that car has actually been dubbed, the most famous car in the world, which it probably was or has been. When you think about the DB5, the two cars used in the cars used in the Bond movies, they only had in total between the two films 13 minutes of footage.
Wow.
But look at the impact that had on people.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. And then the later Bond films where they actually destroyed a bunch of them and they made replica cars to be able to do that. Kind of like the new Ferrari movie. Before you called, I was watching a little snippet of the new Ferrari movie of Phil Hill's son, Derek, driving that wonderful car and Mr. Ferrari in church at Mass timing the laps. Well, I'm really excited to see this car that's coming in because, a car, I like the stories. Like, how did this car end up in Hawaii, hidden away, right?
That's what I love about all these cars, Mark, is, everyone has a story. Getting back to a little bit about the movies and Aston Martins, at the time, Aeon Productions, they went to David Brown and asked him for two Aston Martins And he said, well, I'm not going to give you 2 Aston Martins. You can buy them just like everybody else.
Right.
That's what happened. And when they'd finished with them, they handed them back to Aston Martin and sort of traded them in, got some cash back. You turn the clock forward a number of years and then look at how product placement in movies became a big thing. And then, all of a sudden you've got BMWs and Land Rovers and whatnot in the Bond movies, and they're wrecking, 20 or 30 cars to make a film.
Yeah, I just recently had the stuntman for the movie Ferrari, and he was talking about how they had to come up with 9 vehicles for that film.
Yep.
And they had them made, and I actually had the woman who runs the shop that built the bodies for those on my show just last month. Quite fascinating how they built half of them out of fiberglass and half of them out of metal, because when they crashed, they wanted to make sure they looked like metal cars crashing.
Yeah, they crump.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, because we've all seen those old movies from the 60s and 70s where a car would go over a cliff and you'd go, wait a minute, that's not how a car breaks in half when it drops off a cliff. So, yeah, it's quite stunning. Well, when we go back to the La Jolla Concours, is there anything about this event that might be different this year in years past? Because they always kind of do things where there's something new or maybe something a little different, maybe a little bit of a scoop you might know about that I don't know about.
I don't think it's going to be terribly different this year. I think what's that old expression? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's ticking over like a Swiss watch, but we always, love to see people come out and don't be afraid to ask vehicle owners questions about their cars. They love to talk about their cars, and that's how we all learn.
Well, I know this year's event, again, they have a Friday night VIP party. They have a tour on Saturday. Porsche's on Prospect that I mentioned. There's so many neat little elements to this thing. It's really almost like a social garden party in a way, but all these cars are tied in. The flyby, and I'm pretty sure maybe the end of this week or next week, I'm going to have the guy who's in charge of that flyby, one of the pilots, on the show. We're going to talk about that with him. In fact, I got to meet the pilots last year. They always land and drive down and walk around the event. Many of them are in their pilot suits still, or their military uniforms from the days they served in the military. So it really is a nice, laid-back, casual party. And the folks at McFarland who help run this event, they do some really cool displays and costumes and food. Oh, it's really cool.
Yeah, the Friday night costumes and it's spectacular. If you want a sneak preview, just go onto the La Jolla website, and there's some fantastic photography, and you'll see what it's all about.
They even have special VIP passes for the Sunday Concours, where you're treated like a king, royalty. The Maharaja presence, I guess, is there a little bit. So,
yeah.
The other thing I like to ask people, and since you fly so much, I'm wondering, read any great books lately?
To tell you the truth, I dragged out an old one.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's All But My Life by Sterling Moss. And I purchased that book in 1963, saved up my pocket money, and it cost 25 shillings. So that would probably be equivalent of about $2 or $3. And I was very fortunate. I've met Sterling Moss a number of times, and on one occasion I was smart enough to take the book with me, and I got him to inscribe it.
Wow.
So if you could find a copy of it somewhere, All But My Life by Sterling Moss, and it's basically the story of his horrific car accident and how he recovered from that and his life afterwards.
Fantastic. I've got a copy, and I did the same thing years ago. He was one of the featured gentlemen at the historic races in Monterey, and I took that book with me and got him to sign it. So one of my treasured books, but it is a great read for sure.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the tour that they do at the La Jolla Concours, where a number of the cars, a lot like the tour at Pebble Beach and other events, where a lot of the cars will get together, and other cars, and they'll go and tour. Sometimes they go to someone's collection. Is that what they're going to do this year?
Yeah, we normally go to at least 2 collections. We start out at...
That's Chuck Spielman's museum. He was a guest on the show, a couple of years ago, actually. Go back and you can find that show on the Cars Yeah website. He's got an amazing collection and something special.
The museum is it's a double whammy because it's the cars are spectacular, but within that museum he has another museum all about the Vietnam War and with all kinds of memorabilia. So we usually start there, and then every year the second stop is a mystery. Nobody knows where it's going to be until they show up that day. I believe my colleagues from the Broad Arrow Group are going to be doing a seminar and talking about classic car values and auctions and things like that. So that's something that I'm sure everybody would be interested to listen to as well.
Absolutely. Well, before I let you go, I want to touch on that a little bit of your perceptions of how the collector car market is doing, because we just came off of a huge event at Mecum. As we're recording this show is Arizona Car Week, Barrett-Jackson, and the other auction houses that are there. We just found out that the late and great Peter Mullen's collection is going to Gooding, and a couple cars are going to go to Amelia. So what's your impressions? I mean, it seems like things are still very robust in the collector car market. I think we were all taken by surprise of how much movement there was during COVID, and the momentum seemed to continue afterwards, as we all sort of got over that. I think it's leveled off a bit now, and that was probably to be expected, but it's healthy. But I think you have to have the right car. There are certain cars in the market these days that they've sort of gone by their sell-by date. And that's purely because of the demographic interested in those vehicles. So some of the 30s, some of the 40s American chromed cars are, I mean, who would have thought it? But the T-Birds, the baby birds, 5, 6, and 7s, they, they've kind of dropped off a bit. They were always a different car anyway, because for a 6-footer like myself, they're not a very comfortable not very
car.
Comfortable, no. No, nor are the little Italian cars either for a tall guy like you. I can fit in anything.
You're right. I think we all know that there's no secret that the Japanese, the future collectibles are I think some of the amazing Japanese cars that we got to grow up with.
Yeah, the JDM market continues to grow. But I think you're right. It's all about age groups. And as you and I get a little bit more patinaed and classic, I'll call us classics. How does that sound, Nigel? The kids that were dreaming about the kind of cars to have back when you and I were in, I won't say the height of our careers, but we were working. I look at my E46 M3 and I can sell that now for what I paid for it. And that's just, it's a nice car, but it's, mass-produced general car. But you got these kids that are grown-ups now and they're making money and they can buy whatever they want. And I want that. I remember that when I was a kid. So times are always evolving. Yeah. I mean, my 43-year-old son, I know exactly what, when he does have some disposable income, I know exactly what he'll be focusing on. He'll want to have that WRX STI Subaru that he had when he was, Yeah, that's the great thing about cars. They never get old. Well, they do, but the love for them never gets old. I should put it that way. So I think it's great.
Exactly.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing you after you return from your trips, and have a very safe travels. As we record this show, of course, is kind of the late January, but you'll already be off and venturing around the world as you always do. Are there any last thoughts you might share with us when it comes to either attending the La Jolla Concours or the collector car market?
Well, collector car market, I would never suggest that somebody buys a car as an investment. I would suggest you buy what you want, have as much fun as you possibly can with it, and at the end of the day, when it's time for it to move on, if you make a profit, then that's wonderful.
Yeah, but in the meantime, if it goes down in value, you still got something to have fun with. That's what I always say, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or you can live your life like Bruce Meyer, the quintessential car guy, and he says, buy the best you can afford and cry once, and then go and enjoy it.
Yeah. That's a one. Yeah, that is not the truth.
And never lift, for sure. Well, listeners, again, you can find La Jolla Concours on the internet, lajollaconcours.com. You'll find everything about it. Get your tickets now. Get your air flights now. I just booked mine this morning. And we look forward to, Nigel and I and everybody that will be there, look forward to seeing you. I hope you all join us, because the La Jolla Concours, if you're going to go to just one or two, pick this one. this is a good one to attend. But if you're like Nigel, go to 100 every year, right?
Yes.
There you go. Nigel, you are always great to catch up with, and I can't wait to see you. I wish I could join you in India. I've got to get back there. I had so much fun. I tell you, I've never encountered so many spectacular people as I did in India. Everywhere we went, everybody was so wonderful.
Absolutely. And after the Concours, I'm going to do a 1,000-kilometer rally with some of the Mumbai collectors, and they assumed that I would like to drive an American car or something with a big engine, and I said no. I'd like to drive a Hindustan Ambassador. India's people car, which was basically the old Morris Oxford, built in Calcutta, and so there's one being prepared for me right now. I just saw some pictures yesterday, and it's looking spectacular.
Well, see, that's why they love you so much there, because when you're in, it's like when in Rome, in India,
yes,
and India is such a wonderful place, and the thing I learned about being there is embrace it, be it, eat it, do it. Just pretend you're Indian while you're there, because you'll have so much more fun. And as you go anywhere in the world, I always say, try to be like the folks that are there, and they will embrace you. They'll take care of you and treat you right. And look what they've done for you. Kind of put you in an Indian car with a little bit of British roots. So, I think that'll be
good. And the Indian tourism ministry have a beautiful. They come up with this wonderful slogan, "Incredible India." And to be honest with you, they nailed it on the head, because it really is incredible.
It is, and I think it's got more people in it now than any country in the world. So it's plus up and coming in the tech markets and manufacturing. I mean, so much going on there. So if you've never been to India, don't be afraid. Go. It's a really cool place to go. Nigel, I look forward to seeing you at the La Jolla Concours again this year. Safe travels, my friend.
Likewise.
As you spin around the globe. And until we talk again, I'll see you at the La Jolla Concours de Elegant.
Can't wait.
Take care, Mark. You bet. Cars Yeah is proud to support our veterans, which is why I've teamed up with our nonprofit partner, TechForce Foundation, through its Veterans at Work Military Transition Campaign. The tech shortage is very real, and our country needs skilled, qualified techs to keep our cars, trucks, airplanes, and fleets rolling. When so many vets build their skills in maintaining and servicing vehicles when deployed, TechForce helps transition those skills to jobs as professional technicians when they come home. Learn more about TechForce Foundation and its Veterans at Work Military Transition Fund at techforce.org today.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.